Hey, sorry for the glare, guys. I'm just trying to have a bit of a off-the-cuff video here. My little girl's sleeping next door, so I gotta try to keep it quiet. But right now I'm working on a client shoot that I want to take you through and just basically talk about how I'm editing things, how the edits go with a client. And I think this will just be helpful for anyone who's starting out in video or maybe just doing some more business related content creation. So I thought if I don't record it now, then I'm not gonna get a video out. So I gotta just start trying to create whenever I can and take advantage of any time I do get. So it's gonna be a little bit raw today, but hopefully it's still valuable to you. This doesn't get mentioned enough, but hard drives. So these are HDDs, right? They're hard disks, and these guys here are your SSDs. So these guys are great for archiving, for backing up. These are typically 2 to 5 terabytes. This one is the WD My Passport. And then I have a couple of these guys, the Samsung T5s, T7s, and I would say at least 1 terabyte. I've got a couple that are bigger, but 1 terabyte is good. And what you do is you work on these guys, you work on the SSDs because they're faster, they're more reliable in as far as just transfer speeds, and it's just quicker when you're working in Final Cut or Lightroom, depending on what you're creating. And then the actual hard drive guys, the old school, pretty much, are great for archiving. As far as I understand, and don't quote me on this, these are better for long term because these guys, the SSDs, require some power now and then just to kind of keep it alive almost. It's just like something about the degradation. These can fail if they're like left long term on a shelf, whereas these guys are generally okay. Again, everything has its flaws. Anything can fail, so always have backups. I always have my projects and my especially my family memories on 2 to 3 drives, and so again, working off the SSDs, storing on the HDDs. So this is my desk here, guys. So I've got my BenQ here. It is a 100% or pretty close sRGB monitor. I think, to be honest, a MacBook monitor might be even better, or an iMac, but it is what it is. This is pretty good. I always double check when I export things to my iPhone because generally that's where my clients are looking, because especially for social. I mean, this is going to be Instagram only content that I'm working on today, so I always double check the colors and the sound on there after I export. Right now I'm editing off of I don't know what year it is, I'll put it on the screen, but the MacBook, I believe M1, and it's a 14-inch. I mean, I can't believe we're up to M4s now, which is wild. Still running strong, she's great, and when you edit on Final Cut Pro, even better. It's just nice and seamless, it's smooth, it runs well. I used to edit on Premiere and it just was so laggy. I don't know if things have changed, but I've just gotten so used to Final Cut, so Final Cut is my jam now. I've got some Edifier speakers here. I'll typically edit with headphones so I don't bother the family, and then after I'll listen through here just to make sure that in case people are listening on their speakers or their TV, making sure that the sound is good and I'm not missing something. I am always checking the visuals and the audio on multiple devices as well as multiple audio sources, just to make sure that the levels are good, because sometimes when you're mixing music and dialogue, it can get a little wonky. You always want to make sure that you're testing on multiple devices to make sure things are good. Peripherals, I switch between this guy. It's the Logitech mechanical kind of low profile keyboard here. She's been all right. It's got a couple sticky keys which kind of come and go, so Logitech was actually great. I complained about it earlier when I got the keyboard, so I was still within the warranty period and they sent me another keyboard, which is great. It's a nice aesthetic to the white, right? And then the MX Master 3S. I love this mouse, although it is, I think, having some issues with the click, and I think that is a common issue with them. But I had the MX Master original, or the 2S anyways. But either way, every year they come out, I keep getting them, and when this breaks, I'll still get another one because it is an awesome mouse. I just like it for the ergonomics, but then I can scroll here quickly. I've just gotten used to it. I don't use a lot of shortcuts, but I just really like the side scroll. That's really useful for me. And then as you can see, there's an old school LaCie hard drive here. That's like 5 to 8 terabytes. There's another WD My Book or whatever it's called. That's also another 5 to 8 terabytes. So the HDD versions, you know, the hard drive versions of these external disks are cheaper than the SSDs, but they're slower. So again, each have their place. So just make sure that you're editing on the SSD, because I've had a lot of photographer friends say, you know, Lightroom really stalls on them and whatnot, but it's because it's pulling from a slow hard drive. Okay, so here we're looking at Final Cut Pro, and what you'll see here is there's basically chunks of clips, and what we're doing is just there's different scenes that we did that day. So I synced all the audio, put all the clips together, and what I'm doing for the first pass here is just making it make sure that it sounds good, it looks good, but then I'm keeping all the different takes that we did, because what I'll do is I'll send this to the client and it'll be one chunk like this, and then from there I'm asking them to give me some feedback as far as what do you want to remove, or sometimes there's multiple intros, multiple outros. So for example, in this first chunk is what I've just finished, and what prompted this video is in the beginning here, there's a couple intros. There's one intro, this is another one, and so I gave it to my client, and then they came back with some feedback. So you see here's my client feedback, and we're talking about video 1, and it's nice when they just give me a time, basically time code of when to when, then you want to either delete or remove things. In this case, we're keeping it, these are the time sections that we're going to keep. She wants to add pause in between, that's great, we do that, and I'll just go through. What I've done here is I've gone through and see how there are dark sections, light sections. I've just chopped it up to the sections that they want to keep, and then I highlight the sections that I want to ignore for now, and I just hit V, and that just grays it out. It just makes it so that it's an inactive section, and so that way I'm not messing up the timeline, because I do want to keep this whole piece as my rough work in case they want another section from it and it's already in like the chronological flow and sequence, so I don't want to mess that up. So I just want to take from it whatever's highlighted, the final pieces that they said they liked, and then I take that, I copy, and I paste it over here, and now this becomes the final output for that first video. And so this is the second draft that I'll send to them and make sure that they like it, and maybe they'll come back with one more suggestion, but I like to try to get things done in basically 2 passes. And then from here I'll review it to make sure that things sound seamless, the flow looks good. And then also what I'll do is, just for now, and I don't know, it doesn't necessarily mean I'll keep it this way, but you can see here, I'll turn the volume down in case, but she's gonna finish this section, and then when it goes to a new section, you can either do a little transition, or in this case, see how it jumped? I just basically zoomed into 140%, and so it just makes it seem like the cut is more intentional. She wanted to try this out. So with this, I don't know if this will be the final output or not, but she wanted to try sort of a little fade, a dip in between the cuts as well. So that's not bad either. That kind of gives this idea that it's sort of like this new thought or new paragraph that begins. So it gives a nice break to the video, kind of slows it down a touch. So that's okay too. So this here, you'll see this there's this mask here. And so what it is this arm, I wasn't prepared to use this as sort of like a boom, but they wanted sort of this podcast feel. If I knew I was going to do this, I would have brought actually one of my podcast mics with a different arm, so it's a little bit cleaner.
And in childhood, that's really the time where we start to make sense of how can I feel things and is it allowed?
Just basically an extension pole, but then it had, the knobs here, and so I was like, you know what, if I can just take that screen grab, export it, and just Photoshop that out, it just looks a little bit cleaner. So take notice of the knobs here. See, that's the original, and that's it removed. And the beauty of this is because it's a static interview, I mean, she does sway and move a little bit, so I just have to make sure the mask of that Photoshop layer covers just what I need it to, and then her hands and her feet don't kind of run into this superimposed image on top. You can see there's a video I have on my channel where I did it with another interview setup that I did, but same premise. If the subject is static and they're just sitting here, then the items that are out of frame or just on the edges can easily be photoshopped out, and you don't have to worry about it. And it comes really useful if you really need to get the mic really close to the talent, and they're sitting down, they're static, then you can just add a mic right in here, and then it's not be a big deal because you can always Photoshop it out. You can either do it this way by just using AI Gen or Clone Tool, Photoshop it out with your own skills, or you can after the shoot have the talent step out, and then you can remove all the mic and everything else, take a clean plate of that shot, and then use that to superimpose. So that's another option. But this is what behind the scene looks like. So I've got the small rig light here into a lantern softbox, adding a little bit of fill to this side, my FX3 here, and the extension cord I ran. This is the only one that was kind of close, so I ran it around, so it was out of frame. This is the Sennheiser MKE 600, and then on her shirt down here, this scene, I believe it was the Sony TX660, just clipped right onto her. In the subsequent scenes, I used my Lark M2, and because there's multiple speakers. So either way, always make sure you have two, one clipped and then one boom, whether it's like this or usually over top. You always want to have two options, because in case something happens or the audio doesn't sound great from the boom or from the other option that you had. And then I had my Godox Molus G60. It's just kicking some light back here just to light up the back a little bit. If I could have more time or more control, or actually just retrospect the frame here, I think I would have moved this plant to this side. I think it would have looked better. It looked a little bit a little heavy on this side, so sometimes you're rushing, you don't notice. It'd be also nice to have kind of a blackout curtain here. There's a bit of blue light from the window spilling this way. So ideally, if I could control that, that'd be nice, but it is what it is. So this is another scene we did, another location in the shop. We've got window light coming from this side, and then I just put our light set up in front here just to fill it a touch. Ideally, I would have kind of blocked off some of the window light and then turned off these tungsten lights, but it's just, this was more run and gun. It wasn't a full production, or we didn't have that kind of time. There's my boom mic here, the MKE 600. Anyways, that's just for backup, and the MK600 in this case is right into the Zoom F2. These are great 32-bit float recorders, and it's just a nice, I can clip this right onto the mic itself, and so this becomes a wireless boom, which is great. So I just put it there pointing at her just in case, and in this case, yeah, she is using the Hollyland Lark M2, and I believe I ended up using that audio over the MK600. So yeah, it's just kind of a choice. Sometimes certain locations, or if I have time and I get the boom in the right positioning, it sounds really good. If not, it's just there as backup in case this lav one doesn't work or cuts out, or has some frequency issues, because I don't fully trust wireless mics, but they are convenient. Oh, last thing here. So you notice this shot here and this shot. So what I like to do is record in 4K, and then that gives me a lot of room to punch in without losing quality, because for Instagram we're only uploading in 1080p. So that gives you that extra wiggle room if you want to do a cutscene with just one camera. Even better, you have two cameras, but today I only used one camera, but it gives you that variety. Alrighty, so I'll leave you with a sample of that first section, just so you can see what it looks like, what it sounds like. Hopefully just this rambling of mine, but this process was useful to you, and I'll see you on the next one. See ya.
So I'm Amanda Sherba of Sherba & Co., and we are a family-owned and operated third-generational flooring store that's been around for over 55 years, and I grew up with the flooring store behind my house, so through osmosis, I guess I've kind of been around it my entire life.
So my name's Sandra, and I am the Director of Lighting here at Sherba & Co. Like Amanda said, I've been with the company for 12 years now, and I have always had an insane passion for lighting.
The website's going to be this really fantastic additional tool for people to go online and really find the products that I think will best suit their space. But if you're a person who really does like to come inside and touch and feel, then you're more than welcome to come in and do that and make an appointment online with one of our design consultants.
We have made it our mission to make sure when you come into the store, you have that same experience and you're also inspired in store, as we hope you are online. Visit us at sherba.ca to shop online or to just be inspired.